So, this is Vanessa.
Hi.
You're CEO for the Leader Networks.
Yes.
It's kind of an agency, or what is it? No, it's not.
We do strategy, research and strategy, mainly consulting work,
Consulting
management
works.
consulting. Yeah.
And are you specialist on your social media and marketing stuff, or is it more like
It's
wider?
no, it's all online communities with large organizations.
Okay.
So we do the strategy, the revenue models, and
Okay.
oh,
And I had the great opportunity to listen to your lecture about just building a business-to-business online community, right? And I remember that Mark Zuckerberg once said, "You can't build a community. You can just participate in a community, right?" How do you
Yeah.
comment that?
well said. Absolutely. And that's really at the crux of successful communities because it's about creating a platform for the members to collaborate and convene and serving them. But a company can't direct a community. They need to just serve their members well.
Okay.
So I think that's really what he was meaning.
Yeah.
You give them the space, but it's for them.
I remember from that, this wide famous quote from Rupert Murdoch, who said to Mark Zuckerberg, "How can I build such a great community that you did? We are the biggest media company in
Right.
the world." And Mark Zuckerberg said, "You can't. Why not? You can't just you can just make an existing community to flourish, right?
Right.
And that's what Mark Zuckerberg is doing. He's just creating a tool for existing communities to flourish and and so on.
Absolutely.
So I think he has a point there. So, but how, if if there's what is a community really? Is that a conversation among a topic or social objects and stuff? How would you say if you're talking about the business-to-business online community? Is that yeah?
It's usually bringing together, using the power to convene, to bring together participants so that they're able to connect with each other and content that's important to them, online, transcending time and space. So oftentimes there are events and in person, but it's really with a niche topic. It's very, very unusual to find, for example, a lot of like-minded people in a particular topic or issue that you're engaged with professionally, but here's a way to harness that and bring people together.
But you would say it's all about some topics that the community is
Problem
say,
solving,
yeah,
yes.
Problem solving. All right. So and I was on this Reagan conference a few days ago. I had the opportunity to listen to this guy. I think George Wright, and he was the man who started this Will It Blend campaign for the Blendtec, and he said you should start with your employees. And is that suggestion you would say as well? You can start with your employees. Is that your part of your community if you are a brand, and the brand would be your social object? Would that be a good idea? Or
A lot of companies do start learning their best practices and experimenting with communities, building intranets. And that's a really good place to start because not only do you build up the social competencies and knowledge share among your core staff, but you also are able to learn the tools and the processes so that when you launch something for customers, you've sort of honed that practice well. So it's a good way to start. Absolutely.
So when you find these topics and so on, where is the community situated? What kind of platforms are we talking about? What would you say? Or is it important for companies to just make the community happens on your homepage, or is it okay to just happens on the Google Plus, for example, or your Facebook page? Or
Most of the larger organizations dedicate a platform and a whole content and staffing resource to it. So they use a platform like Jive or Telligent or Socius, have it customized to their needs, fill it with content.
But do you still think that the companies, the businesses should own their own platforms, right? Or if there is if you're Leader Networks, for example, you have an online community, I guess, and there's a lot of talking about business-to-business online community as a topic as well, and there are different kind of forums and groups on LinkedIn and so on. How are you dealing with that? Are you trying to build your own community with your own platform, or are you participating in?
We have no community.
You haven't got a community.
No, we're too busy helping customers
Oh,
create
wow.
their own. So.
That's a great story for journalists. Okay, so but if you take other companies for an example, should you have your own account, your own
Oh,
platform?
absolutely. And that's where the big value comes, because then you own the data, you can access it, you can integrate it into CRM systems. If you use someone else's platform like a Google Plus or Ning or whatever, you don't have the same power over it, and you have no ability to own or impact change.
Okay, and if you find people within this community that matter more than others, what should you do with these guys?
You mean in terms of their customer
Yeah,
footprint?
if they, then you find out via Cloud Score, for example, or Peer Index, that these are, have a great impact on my market, for an example. It could be journalists, could be spokesmen, and so on. Are you treating these guys in another way than you're treating the other members of the community?
In B2B communities, things like Cloud Scores and Peer Index don't matter at all.
No.
Because usually the most senior thought leaders in an industry don't participate in Twitter and things like that. The next time you see like a chief strategy officer of an oil and gas company on Twitter, we're in trouble. So all the typical measures don't really matter in B2B online communities. Usually the value is either based on their customer profile, so they might be a bigger buyer or a bigger influencer of the organization. And most commonly, journalists and things like that aren't invited into the online communities because these are private, intimate spaces with customers.
Okay.
So that's where product roadmaps, that's where deep discussions take place about strategies. So
you even suggest not to bring journalists into the community?
It depends on the purpose of the community.
Yeah.
If it's a gated community, absolutely not. If it's a hybrid community, yes. Sometimes analysts and influencers get brought in as a thought leader to comment on an industry, and that's really the strongest role that journalists play, is as a thought leader to inform the members on an industry direction or showcase new thinking. But as a member, it quiets the community because they're afraid that something that they share might wind up in print. When I worked with Computer World, which was a room full of journalists, and that was always a point of tension. We made the decision not to even let the journalists into the community without member permission.
Okay.
They'd come in, they'd take that thought leadership role, and then they wouldn't come. It was sort of controlled.
Yeah, okay, I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One last question, and back again to this matter about topics. If the community is around the topic, if you are two competitors or three competitors within exactly the same space, and they all have a community among these topics, right?
Right.
And your competitors are far more successful with the community. What would you suggest these companies to do to, engage the people that your competitors already have?
You have to find out what's missing or what the members or the buyers need, and sometimes first to market, if their needs are being met entirely by the competitor, that opportunity is often gone, because people tend to only belong to 2 or 3 communities and participate deeply, one personal, 2 professional. So there is really a race to dominate and to be of service.
Okay, so it's important to take to own a kind of a topic as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a window.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much,
thank
Vanessa.
you. It was a
thank
pleasure.
you. Safe trip back.
Thank you very much.